The ship wasn't much to look at anymore. Han stared at the dented hull of the Wanderer and sighed. 10 years ago, it had been his pride. Now it was barely holding together. Han ran a hand through his short black hair as he made his way up the loading ramp. The metal creaked under his boots. Han needed money. 3 months had passed since his last job, and his savings were gone. The ship's fuel cells were almost empty. 1 more week, and he would have to sell parts of the ship just to eat. The message that morning had been simple. Work available. Meet at Red Station, Dock 12. Good pay. No name, no details. Han didn't like it, but he had no choice. Red Station hung in space like a rusty coin. It was a place where questions weren't asked and laws didn't matter much. Han docked the Wanderer and made his way to the station's bar. The air inside was thick with smoke and the smell of cheap drinks. "You, Han?" A man at the corner table watched him with sharp eyes. Han nodded and sat down. "I'm looking for work. I'm Ta." The man pushed a drink across the table. He wore expensive clothes that seemed out of place in the dirty bar. "I need something moved, fast and quiet." "That's what I do," Han said. He didn't touch the drink. "What's the cargo?" Ta smiled, but his eyes stayed cold. "Does it matter? The pay is good." He slid a small screen across the table. The number on it made Han's eyes widen. "That's a lot." "It's valuable cargo," Ta said. "Pick up at Outpost 7. Delivery to Nexus Station in 3 days. Not a day more." Han thought about his empty fuel cells and the bills waiting to be paid. Why me? There are bigger ships, faster pilots. Big ships get noticed. And you're desperate. Ta leaned forward. Desperate men don't ask questions. Han didn't like Ta, but the man was right. He was desperate. "Half now, half when I deliver." Ta nodded and tapped his screen. Han's own device beeped as credits transferred to his account. More money than he'd seen in months. Dock 23. The cargo is being loaded now. Ta stood up. "Don't open it. Don't scan it. Just deliver it." Han watched Ta leave. Something felt wrong, but the weight of credits in his account pushed the feeling aside. He finished his drink in one gulp and headed for Dock 23. 2 large men waited by a sealed container. They didn't speak as Han approached, just nodded and began moving the container into his ship. It was smaller than Han expected, about the size of a small room. The sides were smooth metal with no markings. "Careful with that," he said as they pushed it up the ramp. One of the men grunted. "It's tougher than it looks." When they finished, Han checked the cargo straps and signed for the delivery. The container sat in the middle of his hold, silent and mysterious. Whatever was inside was worth a small fortune to someone. Han started the ship's engines and left Red Station behind. The coordinates for Outpost 7 were already in his navigation system. A 12-hour journey through quiet space. Alone in the cockpit, Han's thoughts wandered. What was in the container? Drugs, probably. Or stolen tech. Maybe weapons. Things he'd carried before when times were hard. Never asked. Never told. 6 hours into the journey, Han heard a sound from the cargo hold. The soft thump, then silence. He frowned and checked the ship's cameras. The container sat exactly as before, undisturbed. "Just the ship settling," he muttered to himself. But he couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Another hour passed. Another sound, louder this time. Han grabbed a small pistol from under the control panel and made his way to the cargo hold. The door slid open with a hiss. The container looked the same. Han approached it slowly, pistol ready. A small panel on the side showed green lights. Some kind of life support system. That wasn't normal for cargo. Han's finger hovered over the control panel. Ta had said not to open it, not to scan it. But what if something was broken inside? If the cargo was damaged, he wouldn't get paid. He pressed a button, and a small screen lit up. The scan showed 2 life forms inside. 2 heartbeats. Han stepped back. "No," he whispered. "No, no, no." He'd transported many things in his years as a pilot. Illegal things, dangerous things, but never people, never living cargo. His hand shook as he pressed another button. With a soft hiss, the top of the container became clear. Han looked inside and felt his stomach drop. A woman lay on a padded floor, her skin a pale blue color with small silver flecks. Her eyes were closed, chest rising and falling slowly. Beside her was a small child, no more than 5 or 6 years old. The child's eyes were open, staring up at him with fear and confusion. Lyrians, a rare alien species known for their beauty and their mental abilities, and incredibly valuable on the black market. Han stepped back. This wasn't smuggling goods. This was something much worse. The child pressed her small blue hand against the clear top, her silver eyes locked on Han's. Something passed between them. A feeling, not words. Fear, confusion, hope. Han turned away. Just cargo, he told himself. Just deliver it and get paid. But as he walked back to the cockpit, the child's silver eyes followed him. And Han knew that nothing would ever be simple again. Han couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the small blue hand pressed against the clear top of the container. He saw those silver eyes looking at him, asking for help without words. The ship's computer beeped. 8 hours until they reached Nexus Station. 8 hours until he handed over a woman and child to whoever had paid Ta for them. A loud alarm cut through the quiet of the ship. Red lights flashed on the control panel. Something was wrong in the cargo hold. Han ran down the narrow hallway, his heart beating fast. The door to the cargo hold slid open, and he stopped in shock. The top of the container was open. The woman was awake, standing protectively in front of the child. "Stay back," she said in perfect common language. Her voice was steady, but her eyes showed fear. Han held up his hands. "I'm not going to hurt you." The woman's blue skin seemed to shimmer under the ship's lights. She was tall and thin, with long silver hair that fell to her waist. "Then let us go," she said. Han shook his head. "I can't. There's nowhere to go. We're in deep space." The child peeked out from behind the woman. Her silver eyes studied Han with a mix of fear and curiosity. "My name is Neri," the woman said after a long silence. "This is my daughter, Mina. We are researchers, not slaves." Han looked away. "I'm just the transport. I didn't know what was in the container. And now that you do know," Neri asked. Han had no answer for that. He turned to leave, but a small voice stopped him. "Why are you sad?" The child, Mina, had stepped out from behind her mother. She was small, even for a child, with the same blue skin and silver hair as her mother. "I'm not sad," Han said. Mina tilted her head. "Yes, you are. I can feel it." Han looked at Neri, confusion on his face. "My daughter has gifts," Neri explained. "All Lyrians can sense emotions, but children are more open to them." Mina stepped closer to Han. "May I?" she asked, holding up her small hand. "Mina, no," Neri said sharply. But the child was already reaching for Han's hand. He could have moved away. He should have, but something made him stay still as the small blue fingers touched his. Images flooded his mind. The bright, clean research station. Nari working with strange equipment. Mina playing with other Lyrian children. Laughter. Peace. Then darkness. Men with weapons. Screaming. Mina hiding in a small space, watching as her friends were taken away. Nari fighting. Then falling as something hit her. Darkness again. Han pulled his hand away, breathing hard. What was that? "Memory sharing," Nari said quietly. "A Lyrian ability. My daughter is still learning to control it." "I'm sorry," Mina said. "I wanted you to know us." Han backed away. This was getting too complicated, too personal. "I'll bring you food," he said, and quickly left the cargo hold. In the small kitchen area, Han leaned against the wall. Those weren't just aliens in his cargo hold. They were people. People with lives and memories. People who had been stolen. His hand shook as he prepared 2 trays of food. Simple things. Protein bars, dried fruit, water. He didn't look at Neri or Mina as he set the trays down inside the cargo hold. "What will happen to us?" Mina asked as he turned to leave. Han stopped but didn't turn around. "I don't know." "Yes, you do," Neri said. Her voice was cold now. "We will be sold. Separated. I will be someone's trophy. My daughter will be studied for her gifts, or worse." "It's not my problem," Han said, but the words felt hollow. "We have an embassy on Helios Station," Neri said. "My people would pay for our return. More than you're getting for delivering us to Nexus." Han finally turned to face them. "Ta would hunt me down. He's not someone you cross. And that is worth more than our lives." Neri asked. Han had no answer. He left the cargo hold, the door sliding shut behind him. Back in the cockpit, Han stared at the navigation screen. Nexus Station blinked as their destination. 7 hours away now. 7 hours to decide. He pulled up information about Lyrians on the ship's computer. It wasn't much. A peaceful species, advanced technology, rare mental abilities, especially in children, valuable on the black market for their beauty and their minds. Han thought about the memories Mina had shared, the fear as their home was attacked, the pain of being taken, and now they were cargo. Merchandise. A soft sound made him turn. Mina stood in the doorway of the cockpit, watching him. "You should go back to your mother," Han said. "She's sleeping," Mina replied. She walked closer, looking with wonder at the control panels and the stars visible through the view screen. "I've never been on a ship before." "It's not much of a ship," Han said. "I think it's beautiful." Mina touched a panel gently. "What's its name?" "The Wanderer." Mina smiled. "That's a good name." She looked up at Han. "You're not like the others, the ones who took us." "How do you know?" "I can feel it." She put her hand on his arm. No memories flooded his mind this time, just a warm feeling. Trust. Hope. "You're afraid, but you're not bad." Han looked away from those silver eyes. "Go back to your mother, Mina." After she left, Han sat alone, watching the stars. 6 hours until Nexus Station. 6 hours to decide what kind of man he really was. 4 hours until Nexus Station. Han sat in the pilot's seat, staring at the blinking light on his screen. His finger hovered over the navigation controls. One small change, and they would head to Helios Station instead. To safety for Nari and Mina. And danger for him. Han had never seen himself as a good man. He had smuggled things he shouldn't have. Looked the other way when he should have spoken up. But he had never crossed certain lines. Until now. People weren't cargo. That was a line he had promised himself he would never cross. Yet here he was, with a mother and child in his hold, headed for a future he didn't want to think about. The ship hummed quietly around him. Han closed his eyes and remembered the life he had once had. Before the war that took his family. Before he became just another pilot trying to survive in a hard universe. "You're still thinking," Neri said from behind him. Han turned. She stood in the doorway of the cockpit, watching him with those strange silver eyes. "You should be resting." "It's hard to rest when your future is being decided," she said. Neri moved to the co-pilot's seat and sat down. "My daughter believes in you. She says you're a good man." Han laughed, a harsh sound with no joy in it. "Your daughter is wrong." "Is she?" Neri looked out at the stars. "Mina senses things in people that they often don't see in themselves." "I'm taking you to Nexus Station," Han said firmly. "I need the money." "What will you buy with that money, Han?" "Peace. Will you sleep well, knowing where that money came from?" Han stood up, anger rising in him. "Don't talk to me about peace. You don't know what it's like out here. You don't know what I've lost, what I've had to do to survive." Neri didn't flinch at his outburst. You're right. I don't know your story. But I know that right now, you have a choice, and that choice will tell you who you really are. Han turned away from her, looking at the small picture stuck to his control panel. A younger version of himself stood with an older man, both smiling. My father taught me that a man is defined by the choices he makes when no one is watching. Wise words, Neri said softly. He died trying to save people during the war. People he didn't even know. Han touched the picture gently. I always thought I'd make him proud. The silence that followed was heavy with things unsaid. Finally, Han spoke again. If I help you, Todd will come after me. He doesn't forgive people who cross him. My people would protect you, Neri said. The Lyrian embassy on Hylia Station has resources. And if they don't? Han asked. If they take you and leave me to face Ta alone? Before Neri could answer, a small voice came from the doorway. Then we'll protect you ourselves. Mina stood there, watching them both. She walked to Han and climbed onto his lap without asking. Her small weight was almost nothing, but her presence filled the cockpit. How would you protect me? Han asked, trying to sound stern but failing. Mina smiled. I'm getting stronger every day. Mother says I'll be the strongest telepath in 3 generations. Mina, Neri warned. That's not something we share with strangers. Han's not a stranger, Mina said firmly. He's our friend. He just doesn't know it yet. Han looked down at the small blue child sitting on his lap. Her silver eyes looked up at him with complete trust. Something broke inside him, a wall he had built years ago. 3 hours until Nexus Station, the ship's computer announced. Han took a deep breath. Computer, calculate new course to Hylia Station. The computer beeped. Course calculated. Travel time, 14 hours. Han looked at Neri, whose face showed surprise and then relief. I must be crazy, he muttered. You're not crazy, Mina said, hugging him. You're brave. Han pressed the button to change their course. The ship turned slightly, its engines humming as it adjusted to the new direction. There was no going back now. Todd will know soon, Han said. All ships like mine have tracking systems. We have maybe 2 hours before he realizes we're not heading to Nexus. Neri nodded. What can I do to help? Do you know anything about ships? Han asked. I'm a scientist. I study energy systems, not ships specifically, but the principles are similar. Han pointed to a panel at the back of the cockpit. See if you can disrupt the tracking signal without shutting down life support. I'll try to find a way to make us faster. As Neri moved to the panel, Han gently set Mina aside. Stay out of the way. Okay. Things might get dangerous. Mina nodded seriously. I can help too. I can watch for bad thoughts. Han frowned. Bad thoughts. When people are looking for us, I can feel them if they get close. Mina explained. It's like a dark feeling in my head. Han looked at Neri, who nodded. Her abilities are unusual even among our people. She can sense hostile intent from considerable distances. That could be useful, Han admitted. He turned back to his controls, setting up evasive patterns and alternative routes. His mind was racing, planning their escape. For the first time in years, Han felt something close to peace. He was scared, yes. He was probably going to die, but he was finally doing something his father would be proud of. You're not sad anymore, Mina said quietly. Han smiled at her. No, I guess I'm not. 3 hours later, a message came through on the emergency channel. Ta's cold voice filled the cockpit. I'm disappointed, Han. Very disappointed. But don't worry, we'll meet again soon. Han switched off the message and looked at Neri and Mina. No turning back now. Mina took his hand. We won't let him hurt you. Han squeezed her small blue hand gently. And I won't let him take you again. That's a promise. The alarm blared through the ship. Han jumped from his sleep pod and ran to the cockpit. They found us, he said as Neri joined him. The screen showed 3 ships following them. Small, fast hunter ships that made the Wanderer look like an old work boot next to racing shoes. "How long until we reach Helios Station?" Nari asked, her blue face calm despite the danger. 10 hours, Han said. "But those ships will catch us in 2. Mena came into the cockpit, rubbing her silver eyes. "Bad men are coming. I can feel them." Han nodded. "They're coming, but we're not going to make it easy for them." He turned to Nari. "You said you know about energy systems." "Yes. I need more power to the engines. Can you help?" Nari nodded. "Show me where." They rushed to the engine room, a small space filled with humming machines and blinking lights. Han pointed to a control panel. "The Wanderer has good engines, but the power flow is limited. If we could bypass the safety systems, that could be dangerous," Neri said, already examining the panel. "More dangerous than what's behind us." Nari gave a small smile. "Good point." While Nari worked on the engines, Han returned to the cockpit. The hunter ships were getting closer. He needed a plan. Minna sat in the co-pilot's seat, watching him. "Where can we hide?" she asked. Han looked at the navigation map. "No good hiding places out here, just empty space." Then he saw it. Unless. 10 minutes later, the ship shook as Neri finished her work in the engine room. "I've increased power by 30%, she said as she returned to the cockpit. "But the system won't hold for long." "It doesn't need to," Han said. "Look." Ahead of them was a cloud of space dust and rocks, an asteroid field stretching for thousands of miles. "You're going in there?" Nari asked, her voice tight with worry. "They'll follow us or go around. Either way, we gain time." The ship shook again as something hit it from behind. The first hunter ship was in firing range. "Hold on," Han shouted as he pushed the ship forward into the asteroid field. The Wanderer shook and rattled as Han guided it between rocks the size of buildings. Behind them, the hunter ships followed. "They're still coming," Nari said, watching the screen. Han grinned. "Good." He turned the ship sharply around a large asteroid. The first hunter ship followed too closely and scraped against the rock. Its engines flared as it spun away. "One down," Han said. The other 2 ships were more careful now, staying farther back. But they were still following. "I need a distraction," Han said. "Something to confuse their sensors." Nari thought for a moment. "The emergency beacon. If we modify it to send out multiple signals, they'd see echoes of our ship everywhere," Han finished. "Can you do it?" "Yes, but I need tools from the cargo hold." As Nari ran to get what she needed, the ship shook again. Another shot from behind. "They're getting closer," Minna said quietly. Han looked at the small girl. She sat perfectly still, her eyes closed. "What are you doing?" "Listening," she said without opening her eyes. "The bad men are angry. They want to hurt us." Can you do anything?" Han asked, not sure how her abilities worked. Minna opened her eyes. "I can try. Mother says I shouldn't push people's minds. But these are bad men." Before Han could ask more, Minna closed her eyes again. Her small face tightened with concentration. On the screen, one of the hunter ships suddenly veered off course, narrowly missing an asteroid. "Did you do that?" Han asked, amazed. Minna nodded, looking tired. "I made him see rocks where there weren't any." That's incredible." Nari returned with a small device in her hands. "The beacon is ready." She connected it to the ship's system. Immediately, the screen showed multiple copies of their ship signature spreading through the asteroid field. "It's working," Han said. The last hunter ship slowed, unsure which signal to follow. They pushed deeper into the asteroid field. Han's hands moved quickly over the controls, guiding the ship through narrow gaps between floating rocks. "How did you learn to fly like this?" Nari asked, watching his skill with admiration. Han steered the ship toward the station, straight toward Taz blockade. His hands were steady on the controls even though his heart was racing. "Wanderer, stop your approach now." Tay's voice came through the radio. "Or we will open fire." Han ignored him. The Wanderer pushed forward, engines straining from Nari's modifications. The first shots came from the smallest of Ta's ships. Bright energy beams flashed past the Wanderer's hull. "Last chance, Han," Ta warned. "Stop now." Han pressed a button on the control panel. On the bottom of the ship, the small escape pod detached silently. It was barely bigger than a person, with just enough room for Nari and Minna. Its small engine would take them to the station while everyone was watching the Wanderer. "No more running," Han said, and pushed the ship forward at full speed. The Wanderer raced toward Ta's main ship. The larger vessel tried to move out of the way, but Han stayed on course. At the last moment, he swerved, scraping the side of Ta's ship. The Wanderer shook violently from the impact. Ta's other ships opened fire. The Wanderer's shields, improved by Nari, held for a moment before failing. Alarms blared through the ship as systems failed one by one. But Han kept going. The distraction was working. None of Tai's ships had noticed the small pod moving quietly toward the station. "All ships, cease fire immediately." A new voice came over the radio. "This is Helios Station Defense. Stand down, or we will open fire." Through the view screen, Han could see ships launching from the station. Bigger, more powerful ships than Ta's. "This isn't over, Han," Ta said over the private channel. "I will find you." "No," Han replied. "You won't." He pressed another button, and the Wanderer's systems began broadcasting. Every piece of information about Ta's trafficking operation, collected from the ship's records. The coordinates of his bases, the names of his partners, everything. "What have you done?" Ta's voice was filled with rage. "What I should have done a long time ago," Han said. The station's defense ships surrounded Ta's vessels. There would be no escape for them now. With the last of the ship's power, Han guided the Wanderer toward Dock 7. The landing was rough. Metal scraped against metal as the damaged ship settled into the docking bay. Han stumbled out of the ship, coughing from the smoke filling the cockpit. Station security officers surrounded him immediately. "Where are the Lyrians?" one of them asked. Before Han could answer, a commotion at the far end of the dock caught everyone's attention. Nari and Minna were running toward them, followed by several Lyrians in official uniforms. Minna broke away from the group and ran to him, her small arms wrapped around his legs. "You made it," Han said, kneeling down to her level. "Just like in my dream," Minna whispered. "You were very brave." Nari joined them, her silver eyes shining with tears. "Thank you. My people have granted us sanctuary." A tall Lyrian stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Jin of the Lyrian Embassy. You have done our people a great service today." Han nodded tiredly. "What about Ta?" "His ships are being detained," the ambassador said. "The information you broadcast has given us everything we need to shut down his operation permanently." "Good," Han said. He looked down at his hands. They were covered in burns from the damaged control panel. But for the first time in years, they felt clean. "You will need protection," the ambassador continued. "Ta has many friends who will not be happy about this." Han hadn't thought that far ahead. He had no ship now, no home, nowhere to go. "He can stay with us," Minna said firmly. The ambassador smiled. "Actually, I was going to offer you a position. The Lyrian Embassy needs transport pilots we can trust. People who understand both our worlds." "I'm not exactly diplomatic material," Han said. "Perhaps not," the ambassador agreed. "But you are honorable. That is rare enough these days." 1 week later, Han stood in the cockpit of a new ship. It was smaller than the Wanderer, but faster and built with Lyrian technology. On the side, written in both human and Lyrian script, was the name New Beginning. "Do you like it?" Minna asked. She sat in the co-pilot's seat, her feet not quite touching the floor. It's perfect, Han said. Neri joined them, wearing the uniform of a Lyrian science officer. Our first mission is to a research station in the outer sectors. They're working on ways to detect trafficking ships. Han nodded. Sounds important. It is, Neri said. And it's just the beginning.